Hello and welcome to this bonus episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. I'm
And
Eddie,
I'm Tammy.
and today we will be discussing Fate of the Winx, which is a mystical YA drama series based on the animated Nickelodeon series, The Winx. Have you ever seen The Winx, Tammy?
Did you just say it's animated?
I take that as a yes, no, maybe.
Do I watch cartoons?
I don't know, you might in
I
your spare
don't watch
time.
cartoons. I don't watch cartoons. I don't watch what people like to call them as anime. I don't watch none of that.
Okay, so Tammy is in her adult world and she does not watch
I
cartoons.
do not.
Anyway, I don't either, not too much, so I shouldn't make fun. But this Netflix version of the series is about Bloom, who grew up her entire life believing she's human, and how she comes to grips with the fact that she's not quite what she thought she was, and she has powers, and how she learns to master her powers at this new boarding school, Alfea. So that's where we leave off, or that's where we begin. I honestly thought I knew this was an adaptation, but I thought it was based on a series of books. And honestly, when I first saw it,
Well, it
I
is a
put the
book
trailer.
series as well.
Oh, okay. I put the trailer in the trailer park on the website, thepopcornwinddown.com. Pop, 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 pop. Working on that soundbite for the plug, but I still didn't think it would be something I would necessarily be interested in watching. And then you watched it and told me I should watch it. And I was like, okay. And I must admit, I loved it. I was drawn in from the very beginning. What about yourself?
What is that? Like I'm 3 for 3, 4 for 4, 5 for 5. Like we lost count.
Look, even a broke clock is right twice a day, okay?
Dang, y'all! Did y'all just hear that? Oh, that hurt my heart, Eddie. That hurt my heart. I really enjoyed it. So I like the whole fantasy aspects of it. I did not think I was gonna like it when I first saw the preview on Netflix. I kept postponing like actually watching it, and I was just like, okay. Let me watch the first episode, and if it catches me the first episode, then I'll continue watching. And I loved it. It's only like I think what is it, 6 episodes? In the whole season, and it was really good. There was a lot that happened in those 6 episodes. They kept the story going. I will say there were some boring parts, but the most boring parts to me involved my least favorite characters. So I guess maybe I'm a little biased because I didn't like those characters, which is Beatrix, Dane, and then Riv. Once he got into the Beatrix bubble, I was just not a fan of those characters. So those scenes I really wanted to fast forward. I didn't fast forward because I wanted to watch it to see like what they were saying, but I really wanted to fast forward those scenes because I just couldn't stand the characters. But I enjoyed the show. What about you?
Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, even upon your recommendation. Um, I don't know. I love mystical things. I love magic things. I love otherworldly things, sci-fi, magic, all of that. But for some reason, fairies are usually my least favorite in that whole world or aspect. And I guess I thought, I was thinking they're going to be around with I had this stereotypical image in my head about the big ears and the wings. And they kind of poke fun of that in the first episode when she finds out that she is a fairy or that she's part fairy. She's like, okay, well, why don't I have the ears and the wings? And, they explain it. So I was like, okay. But it really was good. And, it's, I want to say it's a show about identity and identity crisis. And the people who you would think, the people who were the least like they were supposed to be or who they seemed to be were the adults. Those mugs had all the secrets. You thought the teens would be the ones with the secrets and hiding and lying. The adults were the ones who were just like, who the hell are you? you know. Um, but it really was interesting. Yeah, I was kind of over Beatrix. She really wasn't my favorite character either. And you knew from the beginning that she had something to hide, that she was kind of, that she that she was, I guess, would we call her the big bad? Would she really be the big bad of
Well,
the season?
Rosalind was the big bad, but
Rosalind.
she was definitely
But
on the big bad side through this whole thing. Everything
yeah.
that she did was about
So
that.
so I you know, I guess to me her character seemed a little one dimensional or stereotypical, but um getting to the end, like I am waiting for next season because like the last episode, like the finale, the bombshells that it dropped, like um I'm horrible with names. The blonde dude, his
Sky.
who was Sky. Yes, his dad is still alive, and his dad basically raised Beatrix. I did not see that one coming. So it's like I've been mourning you my whole life, and you were basically alive. And not only were you alive, but you raised someone else's kid.
But then I'm like, Sky needs to be happy on the fact that he did not get raised by his father, because how Beatrix turned out, like, just imagine how Sky would have turned out if he was actually raised by his father with that mindset that his dad had, and how they raised Beatrix to be who she ended up being, where she's an
Yes.
enemy. I think that, I hope that as the storyline goes on for second season, that Sky does realize who his true father was, and that he acknowledges that, like, yeah, you may be my birth dad, you may, have created, but you didn't raise me, you didn't make me into the man that I am now. And I'm hoping that that is the side that Sky is going to be on, rather than the side of his father, just because it happens to be his father.
Yeah, but it's gonna, I think it's gonna take him a moment to get to that point. But that was my first reaction. He's gonna be happy to see that his dad is alive. But
Until they kill
I guess
the image in his head that he had of his father, that's what is going to kill it, when he realized that his father isn't this guy that he put on a pedestal in his head and his heart and his mind.
yeah, and I guess everyone else did too, especially the guy who raised them. And I think he did that more or less because you don't want to raise a kid with them telling them that their dad is an ass, a murderous ass at that. So um, we'll see how that turns out. Um, there were times when Bloom absolutely got on my nerves.
Were times? You mean to tell me there were times when she wasn't on your nerve? You mean to tell me there were times when you actually looked and was like, Bloom, that's my girl right there? Like, tell me these moments that you had, Eddie.
Where she got on my
No,
nerves or
no,
where
the
she wasn't
moments
on my.
where she didn't get on your nerves and you was just like, that's my girl. Go ahead, Bloom. Go ahead, cheering her on.
When she got out of her own way, so I guess the fifth and sixth.
Yo, my bad.
And I'm the one that's always telling you, look, it's a teen drama and we're watching as adults. So we have to put our adult mindset out of it, and kind of go back to those years where we were surly, bitchy, horrible teens. Like
I
I
don't know what you're
I
talking about.
sometimes I
I
still
was
have.
perfect teenager.
Oh no. I think when I really got bad, it wasn't necessarily my teenage years. It was my 20s. Like, oh my
I will agree
God.
with you on
But
that.
anyway,
Yeah,
that's a
my
whole,
20s were my
that's a,
horrible my terrible twos, or whatever they want to call it, my teenage years.
yeah. But so I think that when she got out of her own way, and I kind of understand a little bit of it. Like when she was at home and her mom didn't get along, maybe that was just her fairy side coming out, her feeling like she didn't belong, and she felt so out of place. And her mom was this popular cheerleader, she was the opposite and all that. And then she was confused about when she set the house on fire, how she nearly killed her family
But
and
you
all
know
that
what?
kind of stuff. So I kind of get.
What threw me off is
Uh-huh.
how so I think that just like she wanted to say that her mom had this image in her head of the type of daughter that she wanted, she also had an image in her, she had a stereotype in her head of her mom, because you realize as they show scenes of her and her mom and her dad and that dynamic that she had with her family, that her mom didn't fit this image that she had in her head. Her mom wanted her to be social. That's definitely true. But her mom was also, yes, her mom was a blonde cheerleader, but she was also a blonde cheerleader who got her PhD in gender studies. So I'm like, yeah, like she raised you to be badass, and then you don't acknowledge the fact that your mom raised you to be as independent, and at least that's what I got from that one argument that they had, where she was trying to get her dad to be on her side when her mom told him to take the door off the hinges, which I was all for it as an adult. I was just like, yes, because you're not going to disrespect me in my own house. But and then she tried to like go back and forth, and what her mom said to her was like, don't be throwing your feminist bullshit at me, because this basic bitch will show you how it's really done. I was just like, dang.
Oh yeah,
I
like
loved it. I thought
mom.
that was and the fact that the dad just chilled back, because I'm sure he was used to it. But I love that scene, because what it showed was, while she wanted to say that her mom wanted her to be a cheerleader and she wasn't a daughter her mom wanted, you also had stereotypes of your mother in her head, and that's how she kind of saw her, which ended up being where she burnt the house down, but or I guess burnt their room down, more most likely. But yeah, but her mom was, I liked her mom. I did. Her
Yeah,
mom was
I liked her
cool.
mom. I liked her mom. I liked her mom too, and I liked the fact that you know, like I said, I think she was just typical
Yeah.
16-year-old who you feel like your parents don't understand and you take them for granted and you don't necessarily realize how awesome your parents are. For the most part, we're going with the people who do actually have awesome parents. We're not talking about the other
You
parents.
have an awesome
Um,
parents.
but thank you. I do, although I want to put her up for adoption a lot. I do. I love her, but we'll have to tell Juanita stories one day. But yeah, um, so but um, I just think that she didn't realize how awesome her mom was, and she didn't appreciate it. But you could tell that as much as they butted
She
heads,
loved
and
her.
maybe it's that second stage of the tear to choose, she loved her. The guilt that she
Mm-hmm.
felt by nearly killing her, and but one thing I did love about the relationship is how it evolved. I loved that instead of continuing to lie to them, when she came to terms and grips with
Yeah.
who she really was, the first thing she wanted to do was, I have got to go home and tell my parents. And she felt like she owed them that much, even though she didn't necessarily know how it was going to turn out. um Whether or not they would have hated her, A, for setting the house on fire, B, for not being the daughter that they actually gave birth to, and just all of that. um I love that story. I loved how it turned out. Like, it's like you said, we're your parents. You may not have been the daughter that we gave birth to, but you're the daughter that we love, the one that grew up in our house, the one that we raised. And no matter what you are, you're still ours. And I did love that. And I loved how she took all her girlfriends home with her, even the snotty princess.
Who
I
ended
did
up,
love her turn on
I
her.
feel
I
like
loved
Stella, I love the fact that they really do explain who Stella was. Like you saw it from Sky's perspective whenever Sky would talk to her, and he would basically tell her, like, show people what I know about you. Like, people always looked at him as just like, why are you still with her? Like, she's an absolute bitch. And he knew the reason why, because that's not who she was on the inside. That's not who she was when it was just them. But she had a very protective stance because her mother was the ultimate bitch, and her mother was horrible. Like, her mother was on the verge of abusive. Like, no, her mother was abusive.
it. It's
She was
abusive.
mentally abusive to her daughter. And Sky was like her fallback. He was her security, which she told him. But once you got to understand that, and you really saw her mom in action when she used her magic to scare her, and to put fear in her. And I was just like, damn, girl. And you grew up in that your whole life. The only time you got away from it is when you actually went to college and was able to learn a different way of using your magic rather than using it the way your mom was trying to teach you how to use it. I was just like, woo, she turned out better than some people would have turned out in that kind of situation, because she ended up being a good person who just, you know, she had some anxiety over,
Yeah.
how her mom raised her.
And I think that kind of goes back to the previous conversation with Bloom and her parents. Now, that was exactly that toxic parent child relationship where you're not the daughter I want, and you're definitely not the mom that I want or need. And it's just like, because of, and it also kind of plays into the whole royal drama that's playing out in real life today. Like, what do you have to do to be a royal? Like, she has this image to uphold. And her mom her mom would rather have people think of her daughter as this psychotic murderer, because it portrayed this image of power, than them tell the truth that, hey, she accidentally blinded her former roommate because she didn't have control of her powers, instead of it being this whole intentional horrible thing that she did on purpose, to instill fear in her classmates and everyone else. And I was just like, what the? So I actually thought Stella would be someone that I liked the least. And um, I think we saw the progression the most between her character and Bloom's characters. I do like the study that we did into them, but I hopefully, as the seasons go on, I want to see them break down some of the other characters, like Aisha. I would be interested in knowing her backstory, as well as Musa's. Musa seems like she has an interesting black backstory too, and her power would drive me crazy, to be an empath and to be able to feel and hear everyone else. Like, I get why she always has to have on her headphones. And when she told Tara that, it's just like, I put on my headphones to just drown out everything everyone else is feeling. And I could get that. So, but yeah. So who was your favorite character? Who was your favorite adult? Let me put it that way.
My favorite adult, Headmistress Dowling. Because you, like, from the beginning, even when they tried to like paint her as they were unfolding the storyline of the show, and they were trying to paint her as, ooh, she's a little secretive, like there's some evilness, like we don't know. I still felt like she was a really, really good person, and she was just trying to protect everyone around her. And in the end, I was proven right that is why she made decisions that she made. But I really, really liked her. But I will say, okay, so I liked her. She was my favorite adult, but I love the dynamic of her and the two guys, Tara's dad and oh my God, what is his name? Silva. Because one of my favorite scenes is when, like, Tara's dad, Ben, when he like starts talking about, like, all these elements and everything like that, and they look at each other and they're like, Ben, and he's just like, okay, sorry. And he like actually explains it in layman terms so they could understand what he's trying to say. And I'm just like, they grew up together, so they had that dynamic amongst them. So I did like the three of them, especially seeing as how they went through the same thing together. And that's another reason why they were really, really close, because they went through what they went through together. But I did like that dynamic of those three. What about you?
I have to agree. I liked Ben, I liked Headmistress Dowling, and I liked Silva. I like them all, but I think Dowling, I'm always there for a badass woman. Um, and so I think she was probably my favorite adult, and especially once you got through the reason why they
Mm-hmm.
told the lies, why they did what they did. It wasn't because they were trying to necessarily cover their own asses or protect themselves. It was, they were trying to protect the school and the students. It was best if everyone thought that, what was her name? Crazy lady.
Rosalind.
Um, yeah, it was best that everyone thought that Rosalind was dead. Um,
Because
and
you didn't know what fanatic she
but
had.
I want,
Like, when it's people like that, they
yeah.
always have fanatics that believe in, these lies that they spread. So it was better for them to say that she died rather than saying that we're holding her hostage in, um oh my god, what is the word? State, is it stasis? Is that the word? Yeah, in stasis,
Yeah, yeah,
in a secret door off of my office, you know.
my office. But so now here's the thing: the queen was, she seemed to be the least surprised. So by
She's a politician.
like, do you? She's a politician, true. But do you think she knew about Sky's father still being alive? Like, where has he been all these years? That's one of the things I want to
See,
know.
I so I don't know. Maybe we'll find out differently. But off the top of my head, I don't think that she knew. But at the time, as soon as Rosalind was released, I feel that is when people started to make some moves, right? Because you remember when headmistress Dowling said, she's been trying to contact her, trying to contact her, trying to contact the royalty, and they're not responding. They're not responding, and they're basically ignoring them. I think that's when she knew. Besides, the fact of like her daughter, and she was trying to take her daughter back and everything like that. But I think that's when they started to make moves, and they started to like basically have a conversation with her and say, well, this is what you're going to do unless you want this to happen. Because what I want to know is who's more powerful. Is it the queen or is it Rosalind? Who's the more powerful of both of them? Because we only ever saw the queen use her birth powers, but we don't know if she has any others. But with Dowling used more than one type of power or magic in order to defeat the burnt ones.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's obvious because she's the main character. I think Bloom is more powerful than anybody realizes, and I think that I don't think fire is just going to be her only power, especially when she developed her wings and she learned how to use the wings and stuff like that. So I think she's going to be more powerful than she realized. And I guess that leads me to my second question: is why did Rosalind put her in the human world and keep Beatrice in the Fae world? Like, why did she separate them? I know they're not related. At first, I was thinking maybe they were sisters or they were twins or something, but they were just the only two survivors from that village. But that was my thing. Is like, why did Rosalind? Why did she send her to? If she was in game, if her power or whatever she is, whatever type of fairy she is, if that's, why would you send her to Earth or put her in the human
Now, did
world
she do it
instead of?
before Dowling and Silva and Ben made the decision that they made in order to capture her? Is it because I was thinking, like, is it because she realized she had plans, so she knows who her parents are? No matter what she says, you have to know who her parents are, or where you found her, that tells you how powerful she is going to be. So I'm definitely interested to see who is Bloom's birth parents, on how she's becoming as powerful as she's going to be. But
Yeah, because she
no,
was,
no, go ahead.
because what, I'm sorry, excuse me. But wasn't she also, because even though she was found in that village, they said her parents were captors or
Yeah.
prisoners of the people in that
So
village, right?
she's not even from
Okay.
there. So it's even interesting to see, like, is she okay? So what I'm thinking is, and this is just my far-fetched idea, is that she's royalty from a different realm.
From a different realm,
Yeah, so
probably.
she'd
That
be
makes
royalty from a
sense.
different realm. Um, and maybe it's a realm, that's an enemy of the one that they're currently in, or something to that effect. Which I hope will be revealed. Of course, I think that'll be their focus in the next season. But definitely, she has to be from a very powerful line. And usually the royal ones are the ones who are the most powerful when it comes to magic. So I do think she's probably very high up in a family.
Yeah. And I by the end of it, I love how the girls all came together, including Stella. The four of them made this awesome little pact, and they all, even though they were all different and they have their differences, even when they were pissed off at each other, It was like they got the text, they got the call, they're like, shit,
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Like they dropped
Like,
everything for,
no
yeah.
matter what they were doing, they're like, this bitch, I'm so pissed, but I gotta go. It wasn't a question of that. So you knew, but once they were able to put it all aside, it's just like, yeah, we're family. They accepted each other. They didn't change each other. They argued with each other, but and like I said, I guess towards the end is when Bloom really stopped getting on my nerves.
Yeah.
But because I thought she was going to ask Dowling to go with her, but when she took her girls home with her and she showed them her life, and I guess that was cool. She is also kind of like, hey, mom, I'm not quite the daughter I'm really not the daughter you
But I'm
thought,
still cool.
but I'm still cool. And look, I
Yeah,
can't even
like when
make
she said,
friends.
like, can my friends stay? And they're like, she got friends? Yeah, your friend, girl, come bring the friends on.
Yeah,
Let's go.
yeah.
Probably got them real excited.
And but then it's like, yeah, and then it's like, oh, you brought magical friends to my house. But like I said, I really loved how it showed the parents going, like when she left them alone, it showed them looking back and kind of going through that grief of, okay, the daughter that we thought we had, the daughter that we gave birth to, but then coming to terms with, hey, this is the daughter we have, this is the daughter we know, this is the daughter we love. Like, she's still our Bloom. And they understood the accident. It's not like because she didn't even know she had powers when the house set on fire. She knew she was responsible, she
She
just
felt
didn't
it.
know
But I
how.
will say that, okay, so, and I find myself doing this a lot, but Bloom was like my least favorite out of the group. And she's the main character because, like you said, she wouldn't get out of her way. And it's kind of like you knew that the adults were holding stuff, but never once did they think the reason why or think that they had a purpose to doing it. And so because of that, she believed everything that everybody else told her. When Beatrix showed her and was told her spin this whole big story and told her all of this stuff, and she automatically believed it and helped her escape and all of this, and I'm just like, girl, like, find some facts. Like, don't just complain. Adults are lying to us. They're keeping secrets. You don't think Beatrix got some secrets she wants to keep? Stuff that she knew would happen that kept, or the fact that you automatically believe Rosalind when she told you and never thought of the fact that she lied and didn't come to the school to help you. And it never crossed your mind that she was lying when she said that she couldn't come to the school with you to help save the school. Like
Yeah,
it was crazy. And I'm hoping that now that they're back at the end with the new season, when it comes up, that she's gonna question that kind of stuff. Like, she's not automatically, I hope she's not automatically just gonna fall into the trap of believing everything Rosalind said just because Rosalind can help her with her magic. But that doesn't mean that you should trust her or you should do everything that she's telling you to do, because she's not going to reveal all, everything that you need to know in order to make the best decisions. But my favorite character was Aisha. I love,
yeah,
because she
I
was
love
very,
Aisha.
like, she had morals. She was very true to herself. And she didn't back down even when they tried to come at her. She was just like, I know, but at the same time, like, we're kids. like we need help. Like, we can't do this on our own, and we should acknowledge that. So she had a little grownness to her, while she, was definitely there to help them out and everything like that. But I like their dynamic. um can we talk about Dane? I hate her.
Sure.
Let me tell you why. Let me
Why
tell
you
you
gonna
why.
hate the brother? Why you gonna hate the only brother in the group, right?
He is,
Why you always gotta
because
come down against the
he
black
was a
man?
gay cliche. I feel like they didn't want to fully go into his character being gay. So he was always on the edge but never really went over. And that made me not like his character, as well as the same time as, because you got in with the cool kids, you threw away the one person that helped you out from the very, very jump. I hate when I see that. It happens a lot, but I hate when I see that with Tara, helping him out and just being a good person. And because she liked you, or because they said like, oh, she likes you, like, oh shoot, Tara likes you, and I'm just like, yeah, she's not the cool one, but you don't do that. And then you get mad at the fact that she turned her back on you after, when you came to apologize. I'd let my brother beat the shit out of you. Like, forget you. And then you got mad at me because I didn't want to talk to you no more. Did you not watch the video of you talking about me? And none of that. And then the Beatrice thing on, you kind of, I didn't understand him and the Beatrix dynamics. I know they tried to explain it, but I didn't get it. Like, it just didn't seem to flow for me. I don't know. Maybe that wasn't fully explained in the show, on his obsession with Beatrix, because she lets me be who I am. That's not who you are, dude. You're not a smoker. You're not this cool bad boy. You aren't. You're trying to be, but you aren't. So yeah, I couldn't get with the gay cliche.
Um, yeah, he was a little bit cliche, but I think it was that whole idea of him coming to terms with the fact at 16 that he's gay, you know,
He
or
knew he was,
bi or
no.
whatever
And
he
see, and that's
is.
another thing,
Uh,
because that's what I mean about them kind of edging the line, because they wanted
like,
to like kind of put it out there like, oh, maybe he's bi, but then certain things they say, he's not bi, he's gay. Like, just let the dude be gay. But I feel he knew
and
he was gay
well,
before he came there. I
but
feel that.
maybe they, okay, maybe they thought, well, because of the whole thing with Riven, or Riv, whatever you want to call it, his Riven, who I loved. He was actually one of my favorite characters. Yeah, he turned out to be an asshole, but I love the vibe. Maybe I'm wrong. I love the vibe with him and
Yes, I
Tara.
wrote
When
that
he actually
down.
got out his own way and actually had a conversation with her, I loved that vibe. I'm like, oh my God, can they be in game? Like,
They have to
really?
be end game. They got
Because
to be like Bloom and Sky. They got
they
to be.
have to be in game, because I loved that vibe, and I loved the connection between them when he actually was like, and he realized. So I don't know, like, my thing is, maybe he decided to stay with Beatrix. I'm hoping like there's some backdoor conversation that he decided to stay with Beatrix to be like an inside mole or whatever, because it was like, I get where he was coming from. Sky was the golden boy. You kind of get that Riven's family or whatever came from the wrong side of the tracks, that they have a history, that he's trying to work off, and he does it by being a bad boy. But he was always honest about his intentions and about that
But
he
he's
was an asshole,
not.
straight up.
See,
He knew
that's
he
what
was an
like
asshole.
this is why I love Riv, because he's not, you can tell from the dynamics of him and Tara that he's not an asshole. When he talks about how the reason why he knows about the herbs is because they hung out the whole summer, and then he had to go back to his bad boy image. It's, who he remind me of? Danny Zuko from Greece. Like, because like
Greece.
Danny Zuko in school had like this bad boy T-Birds kind of image that he had to keep up, but then over the summer you got to see like he actually was a really, really good guy who pretended to be a bad boy. And I feel like, even though yes, I'm sure Riv is a bad boy, but I feel like I got that vibe from him where deep down he's really like
Tara,
a good guy who just is trying to survive with the hand that he's been dealt, kind of thing.
yeah, I think, he's an ass. I get that, but he, like I said, you're not always the sum of your worst parts. I think Tara brings out the better
Because
parts
she
of
calls him
him.
out.
Tara, when he's around Tara, he can, yeah, she made, look, to quote one of the line from one of my favorite movies, Tara
Oh,
makes him want to be better. She makes him want to
make
be
you
a
want to
better
be a better
person,
man.
better man. Yeah. So you get to see what the person that he could be. But I like the edge. I
Yeah.
like that he still has his rough edges. So I hope if they are in game, they just don't dull those
And I
edges,
hope his friendship
to him.
survives.
But
I also like the friendship and the dynamic of him and Sky. Usually it is a little cliche. You got the bad boy who is best friends with the golden boy, and then they resent each other and all this. But you could still tell like it was a genuine friendship that they had with each other. But having Beatrix there kind of whispering his ear changed his mindset. Like, even if he had some resentment, because that's natural, I feel like her whispering in his ear all that BS um change his viewpoints. I hope that it didn't change it so much that it destroys his friendship that he has with Sky.
Oh yeah, and um, I think that was part of Beatrice's charm or her undercover charm is that a with back to Bloom, the question you asked, when you feel like everyone is lying to you and someone seems like they're giving you the truth, they're being upfront with you. It's kind of like, you know, the cult of
Mm-hmm.
crazies, that MAGA cult, where you feel like where everyone tells you, hey, they're lying, but I'm the only one telling you the truth. And when you seem to be getting information, even though it's not factual, that's what you want to believe. Because when I ask you a question, you tell me you're not evasive about it. So it seems like you're telling
That
me the truth,
no, it does.
if
And you
that
know
makes
what?
sense.
I'm in agreement with that. I can definitely see that. Now that I think about it, when you explained it, I can see that about Beatrix, that she knew the adults were lying to her. And then Beatrix comes and says, I'm going to show you the truth. And she spin the story, but because she said, I'm going to tell you the truth, and she was so confident in her truth, that I could see how Bloom would be like, well, y'all have been lying to me. I've caught you in a lie. I have not caught her in a lie yet, because she's spinning truth within the lies that she's telling me. So I can see it definitely.
Yeah, and the same thing with Rosalind. You're not telling me the truth per se, but when I ask you a question, you're not
Yeah.
evading it. You're answering the question. Now, you're answering the question with more lies, but it doesn't come across as a lie because I
Like
asked you and you
automatically.
told
Like
me.
there was no
And that's all,
pause.
you know. So I'm getting, right. So the answers I may be getting are lies, but I'm getting answers, not half truths, not evasions. Like I feel like you at least you're telling me something. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what made them. I think that's what made their side of the story or made them so appealing to her Bloom is, hey, at least they're talking to me and they're telling me things. And by the time it was over with, because before she went home, after they figured out or they thought they had defeated Rosalind or whatever, they got the burnt ones out of the school. She and Dowling had kind of made peace and they'd come to terms. And I think they reached an understanding. And I think she finally realized that, hey, Dowling is not the bad guy. And there may be some things I don't always understand or some things you don't necessarily tell me. But I think by the end we knew where her loyalties were, or where they lied or lay. But so because if when at the end when they come back and Rosalind's taking over school, they all look at each other like,
Yeah.
oh shit, what the
Like
hell,
here we
you
go
know?
again.
So so I think so I think maybe next season they might be moving along to get along to try to figure out what happened with Dowling, because I really do legit think by that time they realize that Rosalind is the bad guy and that she's not who she seems, and that whatever she has in store for the school is not going to be a good thing. And the same thing goes back to Dane and Beatrix's relationship. Again, she gives him license to be who he thinks he is or
Mm-hmm.
who he thinks he has to be. Like, you know, Riv had been trying to groom him into being that asshole junior. And then Riv was like, I created a monster. I'm sorry. I didn't realize because of what he was creating. And then when that mixes with Beatrix, it was a horrible thing. And I think that on some level, Riv realizes that Beatrix is not the person she claims to be, and that she's not a good person, and that she's not good for him. So we'll see if he's just playing her
Maybe
or
that'll
if
go
it's
with the
just
slow
easier to
burn
move
of
along to
him
get
and
along.
Tara kind of having that slow connection. And you know who I would like to see, like what the dynamics was, seen as how he hung out in the greenhouse with Tara, like him and Sam. Like, does him and Sam have some type of dynamic, seen as how he basically hung out in Tara's house and with her family, um, when school was out and everything like that. So definitely implement Sam way more into, especially with his power, with his magic, into it. And then they're still missing one element. So see if how who are they going to bring in for that element, because they're missing air. They have all the other
Hmm.
elements except for
I didn't
air,
think
and
about that.
Beatrix is the air. Like, she has the air element, but if she's on the enemy side, they're going to need their own air element.
Yeah. So we'll see. Okay, real quick before we wrap this up, what is something you want to see in season two addressed, or something you want them to stay away from, or
Okay, I'm
something
gonna
that
talk.
you
I'm
know?
gonna, say this with my romantic heart that I have. Yay. That I want to continue to see the dynamics of the relationships. I think that the relationships have been very, very genuine, and the friendships as well. Like, I love the dynamics of the friendships on the show, but also on the romance side. To see what's going to happen with Musa and Sam, Tara and Riv, who we've talked about multiple times, and Bloom and Sky. I may not necessarily be fully sold on Bloom, but I like the dynamic that Bloom has with Sky. And then, let's see, bring somebody in for Stella. Give my girl somebody that's gonna really bring her out of her shell and stop that bitchiness that she be showing in public. But the relationship dynamics is what I'm looking forward to for season 2. The action, everything great, but the relationship dynamics I thought were very strong in this show.
Yeah, I'm with you. I need
Yeah.
someone for Stella and Aisha. And like I say, I love that Stella has realized who her friends are. I love that she's allowed herself to have friends, but I also kind of like her rough edges. She's the one that's going to tell everyone like it is. They may not want to hear it, but she's the truth. Whereas um, Aisha may be the moral compass. Stella's like the backbone and the truth.
Don't you
Like,
feel
just
like they're
get
gonna
over
end
and
up
do
being
this
like
shit
real
already, or
BFFs or something like that?
Yeah, because it was like where Tara, it was so cute that one scene where Tara was getting dressed and she goes, I miss Stella. Stella would tell me if my outfit was really horrible. Like, Stella would tell me she was like, you look horrible today. It was just like, okay, she knew that was their thing. And so, but that was one of the things that I did appreciate. So I am looking forward to that in season two. Like I said, I want to get more backstory on some of the other characters, and also just interested to see what Rosalind's true goal is, what her plan is. How many of the realms? Because
Yeah.
I think there were 9 realms, if I'm not mistaken. But how many of the realms she's willing to
Over. Oh,
she's
and how
trying
is
to take
Dowling gonna
over?
get out?
Um,
Like, because Dowling is she's a
yes,
powerful
because
fairy. She's
she's
a very powerful, and the thing is that Rosalind was able to get her because she did a sneak attack on her. She thought we was just gonna have this conversation. I'm gonna go back and forth with you, and then I'm gonna walk away, and you sneak attack me. But how is she going to get out? Because she has all the elements. So my thing is that how strong is her earth magic that she can get out of the earth? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, you saw the flowers or whatever start to bloom in that place. And I think that was a place where nothing was supposed to grow. So maybe the girls will realize that Dowling, like that's my thing. How's Dowling going to
Yeah.
get them to know that she's still alive? So I'm just really interested to see how season two plays out. And I hope it's as good as season one. I would actually have to add this to one of
Yeah,
the
I
shows that
agree.
surprised me. Um, that really really surprised me. Like I said, when I saw the trailer, I put it in the trailer park, and then I read a little bit about it. I was like, oh, fairies not really my favorite of the magical mystical creatures. And then I was like, I don't think so. But you told me you watched it and you said watch it, and I must admit I watched it straight through. It was only 6 episodes and I couldn't get enough. It was really really good. So I would definitely, if this is not on your must see list or you haven't
Check it
watched it,
out.
I would
Definitely check it
definitely
out.
um,
Especially if I will
say
say,
check
if
it
you
out.
are even a partial fan of Harry Potter and that whole aspect, if you just magic is magic and fairies, but I think there's some elements to it being with Alfea and everything like that. So if you like the magical aspects and that fantasy aspects of shows, definitely check it out. It's way better than you think it's going to be. Just because it's of teenagers doesn't mean anything. Like, it's great. It's really good.
Yeah. And this is what the Artemis Fowl
Aw,
series
that
should
breaks my
have been,
heart.
or the movie. Like it, yeah, because Artemis Fowl, the books are really good. The movie was eh. I know you
Oh
only like the
no, I
movie
didn't
because
watch
of
the movie
Colin
because you
Farrell,
told me it was so
but
horrible. I didn't even watch the movie.
oh yeah,
No, that's the
oh, not even
thing. Because
because of Colin
how you
Farrell.
talked about it, I knew. Like, I was just like, Colin Farrell, it wasn't even going to save that movie for me. So unfortunately, I did not even watch it for Colin. Sorry, Colin. I'm sorry. My bad.
Oh, yeah. So I hear that they're supposed to be rebooting Artemis Fowl to a series, and hopefully they can do it justice. Like this, it should be along the lines of this because the book series is really phenomenal. But so I guess that does it for this episode of Extra Butter.
That's all, Eddie.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for joining us. As usual, we appreciate it. And be sure to check us out daily on the popcornwinedown.com. And be sure to like and subscribe on your podcast at Spotify, Apple, or Google. And until
And
next time,
I'm Tammy.
I'm Eddie.
Bye.